in there?
You just revolutionized the entire history of police training. I mean, all these years at the academy, studying human character, psyche of the terrorist, fingerprint analysis, all the courses that I've taken in surveillance, hostage negotiation, in criminal psychology. I mean, all I had to do is just drive around the neighborhood and point my finger at the house and say, the bad guys ain't there.
We are Thymians from the Klaatu Nebula. Our people are being systematically hunted and slaughtered by Rathaceres Fatukri. Please, Commander, you are our last hope.
You mock my pain.
Life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something.
I am 35 years old. I am divorced, and I live in a van down by the river.
I want a bacon cheeseburger with lettuce and tomato, but extra tomato.
I refuse.
I'm just so happy the pumpkin spice is back.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the intersection of faith, family, and filmmaking. You're listening to Fearless with Mark and Amber, a behind the scenes of our filmmaking ministry, Fearless Features, where we are creating educational, documentary films about the issues impacting our culture and society from a biblical perspective, and pursuing truth above all else. I'm Amber Archer, and joining me is my husband, author, director, speaker, Mark Archer.
I have no response to that.
You can learn more about us and the movies we're making by visiting fearlessfeatures.org. It's also a great place to make that one-time or monthly donation if you are passionate about reaching the lost for Christ through film. Visit fearlessfeatures.org to share your support today.
Keep it together, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together.
Yay!
You might need some duct tape around your head because we're going to talk to Erin Lee.
Erin Lee of Colorado. So she's going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. But first, want to remind everybody about the Noblesville screening of Title IX. Mm-hmm. This is July 11th at 7 p.m. at Life Church in the Noblesville campus in Noblesville, Indiana. We are just excited. It's free admission. Bring your neighbors, bring your friends. Don't miss out. Be part of the conversation and learn how to advocate in your schools.
Yeah.
And you're going to want to understand what's happening, especially after hearing from Erin today, how important it is to get involved.
And must be present to win.
Oh, yes.
But
yes,
special sneak preview of the progress so far on principalities.
Yeah, and how you can help support this production.
Help us get it across the finish line.
Yeah.
We're finding as we do these films that the landscape, when I started in the movies almost 30 years ago, that makes me feel old to say that. It was a different game. You shot on film, you took prints to film festivals, you tried to get a distributor so that it would go to theaters, so it would go to home video. It's all changed.
Yeah.
And now a lot of it has been so short-circuited in favor of the independent content producers, but it still requires capital because you're able to go direct to the consumer if you can get onto the big streaming platforms, but you have to market and you're competing against everybody else.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more important, especially for our listeners and people who have partnered with us already on the last films. You're more than just a viewer. You become a partner in sharing the truth. And it's so impactful. I mean, millions of people around the world literally have watched our films, are getting involved, understanding where it needs to start to get involved to make a difference in their communities. So I'm grateful to the Lord for the impact that he has in making all of this possible.
And if you've been part of our journey in this, you have the first with Inwood Drive, now with the Mind Polluters, literally on the largest streaming platform in the world. And the Lord is using that. And that's because of you. You have prayed for us, you've supported us, you've invited us to things, you've donated, and this is the Lord multiplying those gifts. And we have stayed true to our mission, and we've just got 2.5 years we hammered trying to get it, and we just kept resubmitting it.
Yeah. Well, and when truth is censored, independent stories matter more than ever.
That's right.
Yeah. So truth has no sponsors. So join us.
Yeah.
Join us in sharing truth.
Yeah. We're sticking it to them now.
Yeah. So anyway,
Okay.
back to our interview with Erin Lee. You guys, you're going to want to buckle up because what happens in Colorado does not stay in Colorado.
Yeah. You're gonna be shocked, but also be encouraged.
Yeah.
So with that being said, here we are with the one and only Erin Lee.
That's right.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to connect the dots here and see where this is going. They are going to intrude in families. It's going to get much worse. It has already started. Unless and until people put their foot down, it's going to get really, really ugly.
When you first research this issue, the only things that come up are affirm your child. This is a really significant issue that your child has now fallen into.
This is evil. This is absolute evil that is coming at our kids. And if our faith community is not going to stand between that evil and our children, I don't know what hope we have.
There's absolutely no way that we could have gotten from 2015 to 2018 where we had transgender everywhere, okay? It took them almost 15 years to get gay marriage. Well, it took them 3 to 5 years to get this transgender stuff.
When you stand by and do nothing, then you are essentially saying, I'm okay with the human carnage and the human suffering that is coming from this transgender, gender ideological agenda.
This is something that is affecting families in possibly every congregation in America.
The way that the devil and his forces lose this is by speaking truth.
God will not hold us guiltless for our cowardice, and that's what it is. It's cowardice in the pulpit. It's cowardice in our churches. It's cowardice from Christians in government.
Do what you're doing for the generations to come. Do your job.
Guys, we are so excited to have special guest Erin Lee on the program with us today. And Erin, if you don't know her story, she is highlighted in our documentary film Dysphoria. She has her own documentary, artclubmovie.com. You can watch that today for free online. But Erin, she's a national parental rights advocate, speaker, and co-founder of protectkidscolorado.org, stopgenderideology.com. And Erin became an outspoken voice for transparency and parental involvement in education after her own daughter was invited to an after-school art club in Colorado that turned out to be gender and sexuality discussion group without parental knowledge or consent. Since that experience, Erin has worked to expose policies and practices she believes undermine family authority and endanger children's mental health and emotional well-being. She regularly testifies before school boards and state legislatures, appears on national media, and partners with parent advocacy organizations to advance legislation reforms across the country. Her work centers on restoring trust, ensuring transparency in schools, and reaffirming the fundamental role of parents in their children's lives. Erin, welcome back to the show, sister.
Oh, hey, friend. Thanks for having me back.
Okay, so we talked last time about Colorado and some of the things that are going on there in your home state. What's the update and what's new in your life? Because there's a lot of things that just happened right before we started recording this. The Supreme Court just did a landmark ruling against these transgender surgeries for minors. So we'll start there. Well, we don't have to start there. I just want to hear from you and what's going on in Colorado and your life because it's bonkers.
Yes, it's been a whirlwind since we last spoke.
Yeah.
Well, I am the executive director of Protect Kids Colorado. And right now, the most important thing happening in my world is that we have approval to circulate citizens' ballot measures. And we have 3 issues that we got successfully pushed through title board that will begin signature gathering at the beginning of July. The first one is protecting kids from sex trafficking, making it a class 1 felony, life in prison, no chance of parole if you buy or sell a child for sex. The second one is no boys and girls sports, protecting girls sports and spaces. And then the third one is protecting kids from these irreversible sex change procedures, which very much ties into this Scarametti case that was ruled on this morning by the Supreme Court, that it is constitutional to protect kids from these irreversible medical procedures, this harm. So there are 27 states that have banned it now. I'm very excited to add Colorado to the list by the will of the people. because here in Colorado, we are off the rails in our legislature. I mean, bad bill after bad bill. We can't get amendments through. We can't pass the good bills. We're in like legislative hell here in Colorado. So we're taking matters into our own hands through Protect Kids and putting it to the people. And we've done some great polling and focus groups that shows that Colorado's ready to vote on these things. When you put the ballot in front of them and give them the choice, they're ready to say, yes, we want to protect kids. And it's going to, start the dominoes falling.
So, no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the month of May was insane because of this Law 1312 that was brought forward. That is arguably the worst bill of all time in the history of the United States.
Well, and I saw, and this is the same one where there was language that you guys were lobbying to get some of the language out, because it was really, if a parent didn't affirm a child's identity, transgender identity, whatnot, like you can lose custody of your child. Like the state is literally coming in to take your child away.
Well, I was calling it the trans your child or the state will take them, and call this man a woman or the state will come after you bill. And it's true, they did change the language. The governor got involved. Well, let's start with how it originally was written. It was defining not calling your child, or calling your child by their biological name, not transitioning your child, as coercive control or a form of abuse, and giving the courts license to remove your custody, your rights as a parent, removing your children from your loving care if you're not willing to transition them. They did strip that part of the bill, but I cannot stress enough that the end result is the same of 1312, that they still, within the Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act, this bill did pass. It did become law. It was signed with a safety clause, meaning we can't petition it. Basically, they say if you misgender or dead name someone, if you don't call anyone by what they want to be called, pronoun and names, then you can be sued, that the Civil Rights Commission can come after you. And so now it's illegal in Colorado to call a man if he wants to be called a woman.
Can you back up? What did you just say they did? You can't petition it.
Right. So they put what's called a safety clause on these horrible bills, and they're abusing it. It's, these are for issues of security and safety for the state. And they use this safety clause to eliminate the potential of citizens petitioning the bill. Because you can petition to, if you get so many signatures, you can petition to overturn that statute.
And that's what you're talking about. Like your main focus right now is getting those signatures for some of the other things, but not on this bill particularly.
Two different processes. Yeah. So there's a process to overturn a bill specifically, and they've put in a clause that prevents that. So we're pushing our own law that's separate from 1312. But I should point out that when people say, oh, the parental rights piece was stripped, it's not. Here in Colorado, parents are already losing custody of their kids for not affirming, for not transitioning them. I am helping a handful of dads here in the state. Some have already lost custody completely. One of them, it was for not being willing to agree to puberty blockers for his 9-year-old after his wife. And this is a left-leaning, not faith-filled public teacher, public school teacher here in Colorado, whose wife suddenly became trans. He stayed with her. Then she left him for a woman. Then within weeks, both of their kids, 7 and 9, were suddenly transgender and non-binary. Then within weeks, that 9-year-old was at the True Center at Children's Hospital here in Colorado being prescribed puberty blockers. And the dad just said, wait a minute. Someone has to ask questions. Everyone's just going along with this blindly. Someone has to show skepticism. I might go along with it, but can I just ask some questions? And in doing that, he was stripped custody completely of both of his kids, who I believe are now 12 and 14 and fully medicalized. So it's already happening. And had they left that language in the bill of 1312, we could have challenged it in court. So removing that language behooved them, because it would have been backwards progress for what is already practice and procedure in the state of Colorado and probably all 50 states. CPS has been weaponized. Our government is not in favor of parents who don't affirm their kids' delusion or perceived gender. And so really they were protecting themselves from backwards progress. That's already happening here in Colorado.
Well, and that's why just listening to you share that story, and I think it's gotten so much worse. I mean, these cases seem to be so much more horrific from even when just a couple years ago when we made dysphoria, and and your story was a part of that, and Jeff Younger and January Littlejohn. And this is horrific what's happening. And people, it's one of those things. I was making notes this morning as I was doing one of my studies, and all that is required for deception to triumph is for the people of the truth to do nothing.
Yeah.
When you know what the truth is and you sit idly by and say nothing, it helps no one. I I am just I am blown away at what's happening in Colorado.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people just don't know what they don't know.
Mhm.
In 2021, when my kid was transitioned and I was attacked for not being okay with it and Child
Mhm.
Protective Services was involved, I just didn't understand what was happening. And so it's been my mission, first and foremost, just to educate people.
Absolutely.
And that's why I think this Law 1312 was a gift. Like, thank you, Lord, for the gift of 1312 for shining a spotlight on what's happening in Colorado. The whole world started paying attention
Mhm.
when this law, the Wall Street Journal picked up an article that I co-wrote with Erin Friday. Like, when the Wall Street Journal's talking about it, we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
And people who otherwise weren't paying attention are now paying attention to what's happening. I think they boiled the frog here in Colorado. I think people are angry. They're fleeing. They're rising up. They're getting behind these ballot initiatives that I'm running. And I honestly, I thank God for the gift of 1312 because now people are waking up.
Yeah, and I would say, is it enough? But obviously, it has been enough to move the needle just enough to get enough people involved. And that's the thing. People, they don't realize, many hands make light work. The more people who are involved, the quicker these things can really come to a resolution and not even be implemented in the first place.
Yeah, and one of the things that's been really a blessing here in Colorado is the grassroots coalition that's organically grown. Like, for years, as I said, since 2019, people have been beating the drum like, help, Colorado's off the rails. We're worse than California. We need help. And all of these organizations, doctors, parents, the Gays Against Groomers organization, the Catholic Church, like, everyone is rising up and working together in such a cohesive way that that's how we're getting things done. That's how our pushback was effective against 1312, because the people are coming together in this grassroots coalition, and it's kind of miraculous. And I hope that we can be an example for other states to work together, for these groups to get together and work together and push back and make change.
Well, and I think that's the thing, especially with the ruling today from SCOTUS. And you said there's 27 states who already have similar bills to what Tennessee, what they're upholding.
Right.
Let me see here.
All conservative states, I should point out.
Yes.
Colorado will be the first very blue state to pass this law.
Yeah. So so just for people who haven't been paying attention, so the court declined to block Tennessee's law banning puberty blockers, hormone treatments, and gender transition surgeries for minors. This effectively affirms the right of individual states to regulate medical procedures involving children, particularly those deemed experimental or potentially harmful. Which, I mean, kids have to have
No brainer.
the ability to grow up.
Yeah. Why is this even a conversation? And
It's
it's all
sad.
based on the Dutch protocol, which has been disproven. There was one very isolated study, a Dutch study years ago, that somehow got rolled out as the gold standard. And then WPATH, World Professional Association of Transgender Health, became the standard setter, but that's a membership organization. You don't even have to be a doctor to participate in it. And they've been widely debunked. The WPATH files came out and proved that they knew that there was no evidence to support what they were doing, that these treatments were not helping kids. And I don't consider them treatments. These are experiments. This is mutilation, not care. And anyone with a conscience should understand we shouldn't be chopping off healthy body parts of kids and chemically castrating them.
It's
and pushing
irreversible
them into
damage.
decisions they can't even understand yet.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not mean to cut you off. It's irreversible damage. I mean, it really is. It's horrific. I mean, people that you think about it, and especially as a parent. And a lot of times you'll find that there are people on the other side pushing for these things. They don't even have kids.
Yeah.
And they want to experiment on your kids. So they don't even know what it's like, or, and that's where it's like, how do you connect the dots to say that you care?
Yeah, well, all the legislators in Colorado who are pushing this are childless. One was, considered herself genderless. She was pushing a lot of the social transitions. Lorena Garcia, who's a radical appointed socialist, is a childless lesbian who's, like really proud of abortion and transitioning kids. And you're right, they don't have children. And the ones who are swept up in it, I call it toxic empathy. I think a lot of society has been deceived into believing that this is the kind, right, empathetic thing to do. We've got to treat these kids or they'll kill themselves. We've got this suicide myth that they push that I was bullied with. If you don't transition your kid, they'll kill themselves. And so they've weaponized people's empathy. And I can't stress enough that when you're not rooted in the word, when you don't understand what true and good really means, then you can be deceived into these horrific, evil things under the guise of this is what's kind and good and right.
So what are you seeing in Colorado, especially because it is hostile? But you were just, were you in Utah? Where were you that you got kicked out of?
Oh, Oregon.
Oregon. That's
is basically Colorado of the West Coast.
Right. And so when we talk about these things, it's important to understand just because we're talking about Colorado does not mean that it is not happening elsewhere around the country. And that's why it's so important for us to all keep talking about these issues and getting involved and doing what we can to educate our communities around us, because it's not until people actually understand. And like we talked about earlier, and we were just like you, we had no idea these things that were going on. But now that we know, how are we each going to effectively use our voice and our networks to make sure that we can protect the next generation and the generations to come?
Yeah. Well, Colorado's like upside down clown world. I never could have fathomed. We came here from Florida. Like I never could have fathomed how insane our life would get. I can't even take my kids to I live in Fort Collins, Colorado. I don't take my kids downtown because it's not safe for them. It's trans flags everywhere and men dressed as women. And it's just not a safe environment for them. I never could have imagined that. Colorado's such a beautiful place. But what happens here doesn't stay here. And it didn't used to be this way. It was only in the last few decades that Colorado began to flip from very red to purple to extremely blue. And so we should be a warning shot to the country that what happens here does not stay here. And these secret school transitions, like what happened to my family, is happening in all 50 states. It's happening in rural Nebraska. Our school system is so deeply flawed from the top down that I know we agree. I don't think public schools are safe anywhere, but you're not immune from this ideology in rural Nebraska.
No, and so what advice do you have for parents who are getting into this? Like, where should they start? Like, what are their next steps? Because I think that's the thing. Like, what's the hope that parents have because a lot of people, especially if you're in Colorado, there is legislation and laws being passed, and sometimes it seems hopeless, like it's too late. But it is beautiful. It didn't used to be that way, and there is no reason why it can't go back to a more moral high ground of sanity and truth. If more people get involved. So what's the silver lining here for parents to get involved?
No, I'm really hopeful. It would be easy for me to be discouraged because I've taken a lot of losses, but I'm seeing the tide shift. And again, I'm seeing people come together and more people wake up and pay attention and start to stand their ground instead of running away from what's happening. And I cannot stress enough, the most important thing we can do is just talk about it. Just talk about it in your own sphere of influence. Talk about it to your friends at church. Don't assume that, your Christian conservative community is aware of what's happening. Most people are not. The major news outlets don't cover these kinds of issues. And so it's so important to talk about it. It's important to get your kids into school alternatives. I know we agree on that.
Yes.
I'm a private Christian, a classical core knowledge, and a homeschool parent.
I'm a homeschool parent all the way now.
Ooh, so good. I know you've been in all three.
Yes.
And it's a gift to you and to your kids. But I don't
Yeah.
think there's anything more important than protecting your kids from the insidious ideologies that are running rampant in the public schools that are usually very subtle and undetectable, and they're peppered into standard math and reading lessons. And, the third thing is just to organize, find like-minded people, join your Moms for Liberty, here we have Protect Kids Colorado, we have Grandparents for Kids. If there isn't a local group, start one.
Yeah.
Go ask your church for a room, and where 2 or more gather, big things can happen. So I encourage people to not be isolated and to find like-minded people to organize with, even if it's just go to a school board meeting and speak up about what's happening, or have a wholesome reading hour in your library to combat the insane drag queen story hours. Just, it's important to find like-minded people and organize.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they don't even know where to start. I mean, and even what you just said with having a wholesome story hour. I mean, sometimes the smallest things, and it will take you, 30 minutes, an hour if you have to drive there maybe. But it's something that anyone can do. Literally just to be a voice of truth in this world of chaos. It's incredible. Like I literally, when I was just preparing to sit here and talk to you, and I'm looking at Colorado, and I don't even know where to start. I'm like, Erin, God bless you.
It's so bad. But that starting Protect Kids, along with a group of mighty believers who came together and had this idea, was to give people a way to engage. Now we've got these petitions. We did all the heavy lifting. All people have to do, and you don't have to be from Colorado to carry a petition, just to sign it. So if anyone's here visiting, I welcome you to get a petition and get some signatures. It's so easy. You just go have a conversation and get 40 people to sign this petition to let we, the people, have a voice. And so people go, I'm so hopeless, I don't know what we can do. Well, it's as easy as take a petition and start having some conversations.
It makes me want to come and have a screening or a couple screenings in Colorado. Just, hey, everybody come, free screening.
Sign the petition.
Sign a petition.
Hold on, Mystery Mark is going to pipe in here.
Go ahead, Mystery Mark.
So you're saying you don't have to be a resident of Colorado to sign the petition?
You don't have to be a resident to get signatures. You have to be a registered voter to sign it. Or a registered voter
we
by
could go
2026.
Oh, so if we did a screening of dysphoria
in Colorado,
we could get a bunch of people to come.
We could come and get people to come out and sign. Here's actionable steps right now in your community to help.
So we'll see. I got people. I'll see what we can do.
Let's see if we can get to Colorado soon.
More of the world needs to see dysphoria. I'll say that much. Yeah. That is an unsung hero of a film that I wish many, many more people have seen. Same with my film Art Club. Yeah. I know you know the struggle of wishing more people had eyes on it. It's not a popular topic, but Colorado needs to hear it.
Yeah. Well, dysphoria is still, I just checked, it's still in review at Amazon. So we're hopeful. If they'll take the mind polluters, I don't see why they wouldn't take dysphoria, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, maybe we just got to plan a trip to Colorado. If anybody would like to support a screening in Colorado, let us know.
I think we got to stop to make in Nebraska on the way. Bunch of nuts over there, too.
Yeah, true. Although they just passed a ban on boys and girls sports. Kathleen Kauth, a wonderful representative who's been helping with our ballot initiative, got that passed.
Praise the Lord. Oh, man. And it's exciting. I think after so many years of seeing things going downward spiral, to see things, I mean, it's like you're coming up for air. Like finally, you're starting to see, like, praise the Lord. Thank you, Lord. Like, man.
So my kids, if you've ever heard of the rapper DJ Khaled, his motto is like, all we do is win. He's got that song, all we do is win, win, win. And my kids were like, you're like the opposite of DJ Khaled, Mom. All you do is lose. Like, yeah, you're not wrong, but that's turning now.
Yes, it is. Mark's got a button.
I've got a button. Hold on.
Hang on. I saw him turn. I thought, oh no, this is.
You're a loser.
We're on the up, though.
Yeah,
we are on the up.
are.
We are starting to win. Today was a win at the Supreme Court.
Absolutely.
I think Mahmoud will be a win for parental rights. I'm hopeful that my personal case, we're appealing to the Supreme Court here in the next few weeks, our secret school transition case, which has a really brilliant 5-page concurrence from an Obama-appointed judge who was like, yes, these families were harmed. Yes, these policies are bad. It basically was a plea for the Supreme Court to take the case. So welcome prayers on that front.
Yes.
That our case will be heard and that will, again, be a win that will topple dominoes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, Erin, how can people reach you? I know that we are on short time today because Everybody wants an interview with Erin, especially with what the ruling that came out from SCOTUS today. So how can people reach you and get connected to you, especially in Colorado, and especially help with the ballot initiatives? That is like major.
Yeah, just protectkidscolorado.org. We welcome people to sign up to volunteer. Again, it's as easy as take a piece of paper, have some conversations, and get some signatures. Everyone does a little bit. We will win, and the whole state will win as a result. So protectkidscolorado.org. And then I go by Erin for Parents or Erin for Parental Rights on all social platforms. And I try really hard to elevate other family stories and keep people up to date with what's happening on the gender ideology front.
And you do a great job of that, because I often see what's happening in Colorado through your social media. I'm like, oh my word.
It's a lot, but we're going to win.
Yeah,
we're going to take the state back.
Truth wins. I mean, we are on the right side of history. I see people, you're on the wrong. No, truth is truth. There are absolutes in this world.
Well, and I know we talked about the blueprint, the book last time we were on, which I still recommend people read, but I want to just let the enemy know that we're implementing the blueprint on our side. The believers are coming together, and we're about to use their words, their plan to take this state back.
Yep. Thank you for reminding me. I'm putting it in my notes right now, because I need to see the blueprint. I'm coming to Colorado.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
Oh, Erin, well, thank you. I love you. Prayers for you, sister, and all that you're doing. And keep up the good work. God bless you. And I cannot wait to talk to you again to see what's happening with ballot initiatives.
Yes. I'll be back with more wins. Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Awesome.
God bless you. I always love talking to Erin. We have been together in person. We know her. We watch the things that's happening in Colorado, and just the effect and impact what one person can have in an entire community and state. And it's refreshing to see. I'm excited for what's happening in Colorado. I'm excited to see some of the shift, and that there are more people getting involved. And with that, if you want to help us get to Colorado to take dysphoria there, you can donate today and help us get there. I mean, that's really what it takes for us. You know, we're working on the back end, getting the screening set up at the moment. But if you want to help pay for those travel expenses, we would love to get there and help them with their ballot initiative and get as many signatures as possible.
Absolutely.
To protect kids. It's all about protecting kids.
Yeah, we will go, and we will.
So be praying about it.
It would be interesting to see what happens in Colorado, because some of our films have been protested heavily before.
Yeah.
Not usually when we're there.
No.
But this would be interesting to see. But we are not afraid. We will go.
Yeah, we will go.
So
be praying about it.
Yeah. One note I wanted to add, she mentioned WPATH.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of dysphoria, when you watch Dysphoria, Mary McAllister talks about WPATH. WPATH is John Money's clinic.
Right. She said it was a membership, like buy-in. You paid to be a part of this club.
Yeah.
Well, now you know.
WPATH is not an official anything.
No.
It's John Money, who was the one who really was kind of the father of the transgender movement. He was a disciple of Alfred Kinsey. And his clinic became WPATH. There's nothing official about it. They have just bullied their way in to the courts, and that's how it's become the standard.
That's right.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today, friends. Thanks for listening through to the end, and be sure to click that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And share this with your family and friends. Until next time, march on, saints, and be filled with the Spirit.